What's up, all you business geeks out there? How are you doing today on this Monday, as I call it, Motivational Monday? Here in internet world, there's just so much going on. I feel like I don't feel like $1 million. I feel like about 350 right now. Yeah, right. I feel better than I did last week, though. Sorry to everybody who was hoping that we would come through last week and have an episode. I really was completely, I couldn't even hear out of my right ear at all. I just felt really, really bad. And today I don't feel that great either. But I feel a lot better. Just, getting there. We have a great episode for you this week, talking about the 6-hour workday, which is all Jen's idea because it is Jen's episode, for anyone who didn't know. We're also looking at talking about a one cool thing that you should probably use, especially if you've ever been hacked before. And let's see, we have another simple hack that could tank your business. I'm wondering, is that based on it looks like it might be based on the one cool thing, actually.
They are related.
They are related. And
yes,
then
in their own way.
And we find out who's taking Jen's lunch money this week. How are both of you feeling this week? We doing well? Better than me, I hope?
Amazing.
Definitely better than you, Joe. We're so looking forward to when you're feeling back to your normal self.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. So Jen, let's you kick it off, right? Your episode. You're bringing up the should we be working 6 hours a day?
Yeah, so this is a Harvard Business Review article I came across making a very strong case for the 6-hour workday. I love this topic because the whole paradigm of a 9-to-5 workday is really antiquated and based on something that really doesn't exist right now. So the 40-hour work week actually came about as part of the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938. And what they were trying to do is they were trying to curb abuse in factories and that sort of thing. So it was needed at the time because we needed to standardize labor standards. Well, have labor standards to curb the exploitation of factory workers. So anyway, so that's where the 9-to-5 day was born. But a lot has changed since then, right?
A lot.
Oh, so much has changed. And when things change and the paradigm doesn't change with it, well, now we are left with, employees that are in a constant state of distraction and hyper responsiveness in the office. They might be working 40 hours a week, but they're actually not productive 40 hours a week. And so this article goes through a lot of studies that have pointed out how little work we're actually doing. And in fact, a recent study found that while 40% of American adults work 50 hours or more a week, well, let's just throw the 40-hour week out the window because we're all working 50 plus hours. People that have traditional employment might be working 50 hours. They're probably still only getting paid for 40. Anyway, of those.
Let's just not even add. Let me just jump in there.
Yes, jump in.
Commuting now is not what it was. Like, I know that Leon a year ago was commuting 2 hours morning, 2 hours night. That added 4 hours every single day to his 10 to 12 hours. It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. So now the study says that we're only actually spending 3 hours a day doing actual work. And it's not because we're lazy. It's just because that we are, you're only programmed to do so much deep work where your mind can really focus. And there are so many distractions happening in your typical office environment that people can't actually do their work. I'm thinking, my husband, Thor, he doesn't work in an office because he has a work from home position, but he spends so much time in meetings it's a meeting about a meeting, and let's have more meetings. And it frustrates him because what's happening is everybody's just sort of avoiding work, right? Because we know that nobody's willing to make a decision and all of these things. So Glenn here says he would love a 12-hour workday. Well, you know what, Glenn? I'm kind of with you. I'm a workaholic, self-professed. I don't really pay attention much to my hours. I pay more attention to my lifestyle and whether the work I'm doing is satisfying and I'm passionate about it. So if it's 12 hours and I'm having a good time, then I'm okay with that. But I think there's a lot to be said for, thinking really deeply and reimagining the traditional workday.
Totally. I think that we need to stop thinking that work is tied around a number of hours and start to think about outcomes instead.
Yes.
Like, wouldn't it be better if we could even achieve our outcomes in 4 hours a day, and then we spent 4 hours going and doing something that, that we were passionate about, spending time with our family, spending time, going and doing something else, achieving the same outcomes? Because I don't know about you guys, but I see people just wasting so much time at work because they're exhausted. They're not actually productive. They're just there.
That's exactly right. So who cares how many hours you work if you are getting things done?
Mm-hmm.
And now we have the internet and the information age, and we can really, a lot of jobs can be done from anywhere. So we're just, we have to readdress how we're approaching the workday, how we are, our expectations from our workforce, and why do we have to sacrifice our quality of life for an outdated paradigm? It makes no sense. I think this quarantine has been great for one thing, and that is for a lot of us to reimagine what work looks like.
Yes, I totally agree. There was actually something in the article that I've written down that I really loved, and that was that so many people are wasting time on tasks after most of the value is being delivered. So that deliver the value, get it done, and then because we're tied into this thinking of being there for a certain amount of time, it's just useless after that. It's just time. Like, what is that?
Can we talk about the Pareto principle?
Yeah, I love the Pareto principle.
All right. The law of nature that is the Pareto principle stipulates that about 20% of our tasks will create about 80% of the value. So it's about focusing on those high value tasks, just like Samantha just said.
We also tend to make our things take as long as they need to take, right? Like if we have 8 hours, we will find a way to find enough YouTube videos, enough Facebook posts, enough stumble upons to make it take that 8 hours. And I'm guilty. I'm guilty of that. Like I had to redo some sales pages this past week, this weekend, some web design stuff, and I found a way to make it take 4, 5, 6 hours. Now, did it have to take that long? Probably not, but you're trying to like come up with ideas and work through a bunch of things at the same time, and then you're like, oh, I got to give myself a little break. I got to stand up. I got to walk around, pace back and forth, shoot some baskets behind me over here. Do things that, and then it's just like, oh man, how did 4 or 5 hours go away? In fact, I was watching this weekend, actually with Melissa, a YouTube video where Mr. Bro, who's Mr. Beast's brother, for anyone who knows who that is, they built a Lego pyramid for him to live in for one night. And the amount of time it took to build I think it was only like 30,000 Lego pieces or something. So it wasn't even like that much. And they had a lot of people. It just didn't seem like they were getting a whole lot done there with their time. Like I feel like they could have probably got it done a lot faster. But,
totally.
Hey, that's me, armchair quarterbacking, if that makes sense to Sam down there.
Well, talking about those 12-hour work days, Jen, because I think that all of us can get caught in them, I can easily pull out a 12-hour work day myself. However, what I realize is when I'm on the road and when Leon and I are doing things, I can do that in 4 hours.
Oh, yeah.
I can do the exact same amount of work in 4 hours that my 12 hours isn't probably as productive as 3 lots of 4 hours. So
well, and yeah, exactly. And when you spread it out for 12 hours, you're not doing your deepest, most effective, productive work because your body just physiologically does not have the capability to be in that state for so long. So you're exactly right. One thing that I learned to do with myself, and this is by virtue of having Sparent, my virtual agency, we have a motto at Sparent, and that is everything has a deadline. Like there's nothing that's just like, hey, get it done whenever you get a chance. Everything has a deadline. And I realize that that's effective personally as well. If I give myself a deadline on every single thing that needs to get done, then all of a sudden I'm not taking 12 hours to do a 2-hour task because it has a deadline. It needs to get done. It needs to move off the plate. I also have the luxury of using Sparents. Well, which is nice. I can delegate, but delegate
is parents.
I can give the work away. But yeah, I think we have to, not just people in traditional employment situations, but us as business owners have to really, really guard our time and respect it like nobody's business, because the time is the one thing you can't make more of, right?
Absolutely.
You can make more money. You can't make more time.
Absolutely. Something that I started doing this year that's a little bit different to having deadlines on everything is I've started to prioritize things. So I'm sure you guys have got a to-do list like mine that's like, way taller than you, or maybe just me, a very long to-do list. But what I do is write the top 3 tasks that I want to do in that day that are going to move the needle the most. So I look through my to-do list the night before and say, what are the 3 things that are going to move the needle the most in my business? And I put those 3 at the top. I must finish those 3. If I get past those 3, great. If I don't, doesn't matter. I repeat it the next day. And what I've discovered is the amount of things that sit on my list that when they've been there long enough, you realize they're just time fillers. They're not really going to move the needle. They're just shuffling paper kind of tasks. So that has worked really, really well for me.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more about the moving the needle thing and trying that, using that as the barometer of staying focused and staying on task of like, okay, great, there's these other things that need to be done. Like, could I just go pay somebody else to do them? Well, if I don't have the money to do that, well, then I guess I'm not doing the things to move the needle enough to be able to go pay somebody else to go do them. So it goes back, so it just goes back to sitting on the board, and it's, you can't allow yourself to get hung up on those things. I really am, and I've been passionate about that idea for a long time, that people that like, I've been here for like 13 hours or 14 hours or 12, 18 hours. Like, okay, great. Well, here's 2 things, right? If you're working with other people, like, what do you expect everybody else to do? Like, literally get a cot and live in the building because you're there, nonstop? Or B, how much are you really accomplishing during that time? Yeah, you're available. Yeah, you can do those things, but like, I mean, if you're all right with sacrificing your life for that, like that, then that's on you. Like, I'm not. Nobody else should feel bad about it at that point,
Yeah. Jen, do you mind if I just ask Joe a question here? Because I know this is there was something really interesting in this article which I've pulled out, and I know this is something you're super passionate about, Joe, and that's inbox zero. And we know I am not inbox zero. I've got like 25,000 emails in my inbox.
I am also not inbox zero.
Yeah. And what it said in this article, and I really liked this, it said that having inbox zero is a badge of honor. It's not a badge of honor, but a symbol of proficiency at putting other people's goals ahead of your own.
Is that a negative thing?
It's saying that. Yeah. So what I really loved about this, because for me, I'm like, okay, so I just deal with my emails, and then I move along and do something just as important. I don't waste time doing inbox zero. This is saying the same thing, that putting, going for inbox zero is putting other people's goals ahead of your own. Is it really that important to get to inbox zero? Is it the best use of your time?
So here's
and I wanted
thing.
your
Yeah. So There's a cricket walking up my wall. I agree. Yes, I think that there's some merit to that. I think it depends on what kind of emails you have in your inbox. And like looking at my inbox right now, like I have 19 emails in there, and it's driving me up a
19.
wall. Yeah. Well, the oldest email is from April 20th. I have yet to respond to that email. I actually feel really guilty that I haven't, and I need to. So to me, it's not so much about that. And the reason I don't treat it like that is because I use Boomerang. So do either of you use Boomerang?
No.
I have.
Right.
I stopped,
have used it?
and I don't remember why.
Oh, okay. So to me, that inbox zero really wouldn't necessarily be possible without Boomerang. And what Boomerang allows you to do is take an email and then have it come back to you if it meets certain criteria, right? If no one replies to it, then it should come back to your inbox. If you could set it to just, hey, in 2 weeks, come back to me. And a lot of times that's what I'll do to get back to, as few emails as possible, because I use it as a checklist of things I need to do rather than I got to get back to everybody, because I don't get back to everybody all the time as quickly as I would probably prefer to. But I use Boomerang to okay, I know in 3 or 4 or 5, 6 days, I might have more time to deal with this. Boomerang it back to me in my inbox. So it's gone from my inbox, and 6 days later, it comes back into my inbox. And I say, oh, okay, do I have time for this? Do I not have time for this? And I go from there with it. So in my inbox right now, just looking, I have to return something I have to take it to Kohl's to return for Amazon, right? So there's the QR code. So I'll probably, actually right now, I will, let me pull my screen up here, right? So I'm going to Boomerang this for tomorrow morning. It'll come back in my inbox at 6 a.m. Boom. So I just went from 19 emails down to 18 emails. This is a notification saying that they're going to ship my Walt Disney World magazine to me. Ding, ding. I'm excited to be getting that because we signed up for a year, since we won't be going to Disney World anytime soon, right? And this is cool. This is awesome. So you know what? Goes my receipts. Now I'm down to 17 emails. And you know what I mean? So just this email, I know by Max, shout out to Maxwell Ivy, the blind blogger. I got to get back to him at some point. So I start it, and what I'll do right now, so I can get back to him, I'll have it come back to me tomorrow morning, and I'll deal with it in the morning. So now I'm down to 16
thanks
emails.
for letting us talk about that, because I think that there's people that are either like me and have a lot of emails or inbox zero, and it's interesting always to me to hear which way people prefer it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's is it perfect? No, I'm still at 14 emails. This, you break, I fix. I know I got to get back to that. I got to get back to the store at some point, but it's not imperative. So you know what? In 2 weeks, this email will come back up and remind me that, hey, I got to get back and pick up that item from that store when I actually care about going to pick it up. So in the meantime, and then this email right here, this can just go into the icon archive. Bam,
and
now
it's
I'm
the
down
Joe
to 12.
Pardo email show.
Exactly.
Everybody
So,
enjoyed that.
but that's the whole thing.
Fun.
That's the point. Everybody thinks that inbox zero is some kind of craziness, but it's not. If I didn't have Boomerang, it is a little bit harder. And believe me, I've heard plenty of stories of oh, you can't have inbox zero because my so and so coworker tried to do that. You know what they did? Delete. They just mass deleted everything. Oh, I didn't see your email. And how do you live your life like that? How? That would drive me insane if I had to work with somebody that was oh yeah, at the end of the day, I just delete all my emails. They're just gone. But I guess is it really much different from you or you in the sense that you have 25,000 emails in there and it probably gets lost in the shuffle?
Oh, I'm sure there's plenty that gets lost in there.
Yeah, I just try not to be, beholden so much to my inbox because it's other people dictating your time. And so I try to. I have a more holistic approach. I could do better at it for sure, but yeah, I don't like to spend a lot of time trying to get down to zero because I'm a little out of control at this point. But anyway, that's email. I think the one last question I want to pose on this subject is how do we lead the charge in the 6-hour workday, or at least in rethinking how we consume time in the workforce? We're all business owners, so I mean, we have the opportunity to put in place a 6-hour workday, or just have in my case, we don't really do that. We don't really require like a certain number of hours a day. We are more outcome based. But we also work with independent contractors. So the employment law is, it's a little bit of a different arena in terms of what you can expect from employees versus independent contractors. So I'm just wondering, like, I feel like it takes, some big players to really not just experiment, but just put it in place. Like, we're going to be outcome based, and then to have them not play with the salaries, like, because maybe technically your workforce is going to work less hours. But as long as the outcomes are the same, then their pay shouldn't be affected. But I have a feeling that maybe some employers might experiment with this, thinking that they could reduce
they can save money
costs. Yeah. So I don't want to see that happen. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here.
And I think it's really good.
Examples of that, though. There's
There was I can't remember the name of the company, but wasn't there a pay company or some sort of payment gateway or do you know what no, it wasn't PayPal. I can't remember what it was.
Stripe?
No. I didn't know you were going to look it up, Joe, so I didn't do some.
I'm trying to look it up right now. There was at least one or two examples of like companies that experimented with the idea that you could work. It doesn't matter as long as the work gets done, right? You could work 8 hours, you could work 6 hours, you could work 12 hours. It's really up to you. You could work and then in the middle of the day have to go pick up your kid, and that's fine. It doesn't come off like they don't worry about it. I forget who it was. I want to say it was like Amazon or Dell or
I'd be surprised if it was Amazon from what I hear.
Yeah, I would have thought not Amazon.
Well, it was for the upper echelon of workers. It wasn't,
not the people that make a difference down the bottom.
Yeah,
no,
not the warehouse workers.
No.
That's interesting. Well, I do, Thor, his last employer, they had something, and I'm sure you've heard of this, unlimited vacation.
Yes.
So unlimited, like I was like, you want to go on vacation for 6 months, but in application, it's not reality, because you obviously have to be there for your team. You have things and deadlines and, benchmarks you have to accomplish and answer to. So you can't just take off for a 6-month vacation. So it's just interesting, because when you first hear unlimited vacation, it seems like this awesome benefit. But I think really what they were probably trying to do is do more outcome-based, work environment, which was
it a work on the road kind of thing, Jen? Like, as in they could take unlimited vacations, but they actually had to work? Is that what you were saying?
No,
I've never heard of this before.
They called it vacation, unlimited vacation. So it was basically unmetered, right? So you could take a week here, a day there, 2 days there. What they were saying is, the work, the outcome is more important. But just by saying unlimited vacation, your mind goes a little somewhere else. And that was interesting. I mean, I appreciated the progressiveness. They filed Chapter 11. They're gone. But anyway, doesn't mean it wouldn't work somewhere else.
Well, so when I worked at HopeWorks, they switched to this unlimited vacation, and I remember some of my friends who worked in companies in New York City and being like, no, we don't like that, because everybody is like kind of like you actually feel guilty every time you take vacation, because it's not metered and it's not regulated. Mm-hmm. So and I remember like bringing that up as a concern, and everyone's like, oh no, Joe, that's crazy. Like, why would you do that? Why would you bring that up? And I'm like, well, because the way I operate, I would feel like I shouldn't take any days off. So
that was actually my very first thought, was I wonder how many people feel guilty for taking that.
Yeah. Well, the idea is that if you're missing so much time, then you're not producing the work, and if you're not producing the work, then there's other breakdowns elsewhere, right? So that's the whole idea. It's like, if you're getting your work done, then don't worry about it. But if you aren't getting your work done, then you taking 2 weeks off here, and then a week later taking another week off, and then taking 3 days off, and another week off, and another week off, like, it's all going to come out. Like, it's all going to come out anyway that
Yeah.
you're not doing.
And
what
I
you
think
should be doing.
Brent has just made a really good point that it really depends on the company and the culture.
I think it
Yeah.
does. And I think another thing to keep in mind is vacation time is really easy to measure, right? You're either working or you're not. I think what's harder to measure now is actually how many hours we're all working, because we're so accessible via email and text message. And I mean, really, for a lot of us, the office never turns off, and we're not really factoring in the emails we're returning at 10 o'clock at night. Or, I know Thor often gets up and, he's up at like 5:30 and he's, returning an email. And he's not really factoring that time into his, salaried hours. He's just doing it to make his day a little easier, or just to get back to somebody because they're in a different time zone. And so even though it's, 5:30 here, it might be the middle of the day there. So I don't think that's an unusual situation. I think a lot of us are just, our work day is really, the lines are so blurry now.
It's so blurry. And I think that, and it comes back to this 6-hour workday, and it comes back to what you're talking about there, Jen. I think that we really need to put boundaries in place. Yeah. I think that as a culture of our companies, we need to allow ourselves and our staff to have boundaries. I know at the start of the pandemic, I was starting to get really anxious because I was getting messages on Messenger from clients at like 10 p.m., 11 p.m., midnight. They were probably sending a message because they were being kept awake because they were worried, or they may have been like, I'll send it now while it was in my head. But it was making me super anxious and super frustrated. I actually have deleted the Messenger app off my phone. So if my laptop's not open and it's shut, the end. I don't know if there's a message there, and I feel so much better. And I think that it should be okay for us to do that, and I think that it's okay for our staff to do that as well.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Marcia, Marcia Sheehan, who is joining us here, she is my expert on Girlfriend on Boundaries. She writes about it. She talks about it. She's got a podcast about it.
Marcia, I love it.
Yes, she leads the charge on our personal and professional boundaries, and has led masterminds and classes on exactly how to define them, because it's not easy.
Marcia, we need to connect. Reach out. You're on my train. Or I'm on your train by the sound of it.
Yeah. I mean, not only do we have to make them, we have to respect them and other people.
Yes.
And we have to allow space for them. Like, I have a friend, I haven't seen her since the quarantine, and she's amazing. And she let me know and other people know that she was not connecting with people on Zoom. Like, it just wasn't, it drained her energy. She didn't like it. And she's like, no, we're not getting on a Zoom call together. And I could have gotten my feelings hurt that she didn't make an exception for me. But instead I was like, I totally understand. And I'm going to respect that boundary, because that's a boundary that you defined. You made it clear. It wasn't personal. It was broad scope boundaries for everybody. But I really admired her for putting that in place when we were all like feeling anxious and like everyone was just zooming out for a while. I think we probably still are. But anyway, I think you have to respect other people's boundaries. I have a friend that doesn't like texts. She doesn't like you texting her. Like, she doesn't like it. Like, call her, email her. She doesn't want you texting her. That's fine. You've got to respect people's boundaries, because then they'll respect yours.
I think this is a great conversation that you've brought up, Jen. And I think that's a conversation that, as business owners and leaders, that we need to start to open up this conversation more. What does a work day look like? What does productivity look like? And I know a question that you asked before is, how do we change it? I know with my team, we talk at the beginning of the week about what are requirements to be done this week. What do we must get done? And that's a conversation that me and the team have every week. And I think that's a really good place to start.
Absolutely. That's an excellent place to start. Love it. All right. I love that conversation, guys. I'm
so good, Jen. So good. Yeah. Always bringing up the good stuff.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad I was able to do that. That was nice.
Yeah, no, I think I think there's a lot to be said for trying to set those boundaries and then actually sticking to it, because I think that's a whole nother episode right there. Us
Hmm.
just talking about sticking to those boundaries. So maybe in a, click the like button on Facebook, or the subscribe button on YouTube if you're playing along on YouTube, or the podcast platform of your choice. Please, please, please. We'll be definitely bringing that up. In fact, I'm going to write that down in our topics in
Yeah.
a second
Let
here,
let
because
us
I think,
know what you want to hear more of.
Yeah.
What the discussions you would like to have. That was
yes,
terrible English. What the discussions you
discussions
want to
are.
I
have.
I liked it.
Yeah, I can get behind it.
I don't know. Maybe it's a sign of the quarantine, because I did the same thing. I had a really bad grammar the other day. We had like a lot of recycling, and I told her, I was like, we have too much boxes. And he's like, you mean too many boxes? So I was like, no, too much boxes.
Oh,
He's like, you need to maybe talk to more people and work on your grammar.
I wish I could blame the pandemic. I've just always spoken like this.
Anyway, our chat is busier than it has been in the past couple episodes, and I feel like I'm neglecting it. Oh my gosh. Marcia says self-governing is the only way to make it work. Open, honest conversations too. Great advice. Lisa wishes she could get herself trimmed down to 6 hours. Lisa, you are a very hardworking woman, DC Fempreneur. I know how hard you work. I don't know how you would get things down to 6 hours, knowing all that you do in a day, but I hope you're able to do it. What else did I miss? Brent's in there too.
Yeah, I was going to blame the Aussie slang, Brent, but I thought there might be some Aussies on that will call me on that. Let's just say it's definitely.
Yeah, that's right. You could just blame Aussie slang anytime.
Absolutely.
You have
Oh,
There
yeah, that's
you
the
go.
thing. That's what we do here. That's how we speak.
Jen, did you want to talk about your one cool thing before we wrap up and get out of here?
Yeah, I'm afraid that everyone has heard of my one cool thing,
They
but
probably have.
okay.
It's amazing how many people haven't. I know this.
That's what I was hoping. So we all have to manage a lot of passwords, and in the olden days, we could use one password for everything, and it was usually the name of your pet. But now we can't do that. We cannot do that. We have to have very complex passwords that we can't keep in our head in order to keep everything safe from those awful hackers. And what is a girl to do when she needs 4,000 passwords in a day? LastPass is where it's at. It's the password manager that you need to have. And if you don't use LastPass, at least use something. I know Google Chrome has a built-in password manager. Apple does too. So whatever works for you. But I think I like LastPass because you can also have other people have access to your LastPass, where they can log into your trusted sites without actually seeing or knowing your password. So I think that's real slick and real important, particularly if you're working with virtual assistants or
Absolutely.
a team, or even employees that might need access to proprietary information, or access to all sorts of accounts. This is a way that you can keep it safe and secure. There is a free version, I believe, and then there's also paid versions. But check it out, because guess what? I mean, if you get hacked, that's going to cost you a lot more than this very reputable password management service, LastPass.
Get on it, everyone. I love this. We ask all of our clients to have this. We don't ever want to see their passwords. Because I don't want to be put in a position where if their site gets hacked, we get blamed for it either. Like, there's two sides to this story, So I think it's a fantastic, fantastic program.
And if you haven't already, please make sure that you have signed up for 2-factor authentication wherever it's available, including Facebook. Facebook's getting hacked more. I'm having friends almost weekly getting their Facebook accounts hacked, and they don't have 2-factor authentication set up, which will help protect them from that. So anyway, be careful out there. There are some bad people on the internet, in case nobody told you.
No,
Yeah.
really, Jen?
It's just, it can be a scary place out there. And
Marsha's given a fantastic piece of advice. Just use your social security number and date of birth. I think that is fantastic. Very sarcastic.
Don't
Please
forget your
do not
maiden name.
do this.
Well, actually, there's one more thing to go along with this. Since we're on the train to security,
Yes.
And it's something I never really thought about myself. I think I had heard about it a few times, but never really thought about. And now after the Twitter, folly of so many people being hacked. Using the same email address for your social accounts and for other accounts that you do for your personal email. Because then all of a sudden it's like not only especially if you're using the same password, like you're using the same password, now they know your email address, like bam, now they're getting into your email. So using like some burner email addresses would not be such the bad thing. And if you use Gmail or you use Outlook, you can have them check, or you could set those email addresses to forward to your main email address that isn't known. And then at least then you have, I wouldn't forward them. I would have them check from your Outlook or from your Gmail and bring the emails in, since they're probably not super imperative emails anyway, and probably not many, since no one should have that email address in theory. So that way, that if they do hack into that email address, they're not like, oh, there's the real email address. Let me go hack into that one now that I have all this other information. And it just becomes a wave of terribleness.
We have to be so careful. You have to put barbed wire around all your accounts. Armed men at the ready. God forbid you get into my Twitter account and go wild. I mean, everybody will be like, oh, she's doing Twitter again. Oh, great. Look at that. Good for her. I've neglected my Twitter account. That's what I'm saying.
Yep, me too. Yes.
I'm trying.
It's like a ghost town in there.
Oh my gosh, there's like tumbleweeds going on my Twitter account. Okay, are we out of time, Joe? Are we done here?
No. It's up to you. You have one more thing you want to talk about?
Well, because we just talked about LastPass and locking down our accounts and being careful, my grind my gears is related. We could just, this could be real quick. But
yeah, right. It'll be
real quick.
10 minutes later.
Typo squatters, you are grinding my gears this week. If you haven't heard of typo squatting, sit down. In fact, squat, because we're talking about typo squatters. Typo squatters are the people that gobble up domains that are similar to mainstream domains. So a typo squatter might have Googla.com, like Googla, like one letter off. And
don't go there.
Don't go to any of these websites that we might mention.
Don't go there.
Don't do it. So these typo squatters are counting on my sausage fingers mistyping a domain. It happens 100 times a day, right? And when I do, and I'm not paying attention, I go to a site and it looks really similar, maybe even identical to the site that I wanted to land on. But because it's owned by a typo squatter, any link I click, I'm in danger of getting a virus, getting hacked. I don't know. They have some examples of some famous typo squatting scams that happen to major companies, and it's pretty scary because one, it's so easy to be a typo squatter, and it's also super easy to fall victim to typo squatting. So in 2016, typo squatting was used to spread malware to anyone who had the bad luck of typing, don't type this, Netflix.om and Citibank.om. .om is the domain suffix for Oman. Cybersecurity researcher Brian Krebs reported a network of over 1,000 domains using the country suffix for Cameroon, .cm for major brands such as Hulu and Netflix that generated nearly 12 million visits over a 3-month period. The opportunities for scams are numerous when a single missing letter can take a would-be victim to a completely separate site.
And it's so easy to do, but we don't want computer corona.
Yeah, we don't want computer corona. Marcia says this happened to Bank of America about a decade ago. Yeah, this is typo squatting is not a new thing, but I think maybe the new part is that these hackers are more sophisticated than ever, and the damage that they can yield is significant. We're talking like tremendous damage to your business potentially, and you can personally be victimized as well. So I don't know what we can do about typo squatting. They do suggest that as a business owner to go ahead and gobble up typo squat yourself. Go ahead and gobble up the domain names that might be the most obvious typos in your domain. So to protect yourself. So typo squat before you can be typo squatted.
And that gets quite expensive very, very quickly.
Very quickly.
It could be, yeah, it could be. Think of all the variations.
God, hundreds of thousands of variations, surely.
Yeah. I mean, I know I registered joeparto.com.
Look at you typo squatting.
Well, because I didn't want somebody, like, when I say my name on a podcast, and if they can't see how my name is spelled, like, how do you say Pardo? I've been called all kinds of names, names over the phone. So, it's just one of those things. But there's definitely the opportunity. In fact, I own indiepodcon.com, INDIENINDY, because
you never know.
You don't know how you spell it. Unfortunately, I can't own indiepodcasters.com where INDY. I only have the IE because the other one's not available currently. So
I know for a fact that you own more domain names than anybody I know.
Are you serious?
Really? I'm almost positive that's the
I would think so.
I don't have to fact check it to know.
Let me see here. I think I'm at like 50. I noticed the other day I had like 47 or something like that.
Oh my Lord.
That I own.
Okay, I'm not actually that far behind.
Oh my.
Well, showing 51. So 51. Yeah, 51 domain names. Too darn many is what I.
Well, wait till you start typo squatting yourself. That's gonna triple, quadruple.
Yeah. 250 later.
Yeah, no. And the thing is, it's not even cheap anymore. So it's not like, 99 cents a year. Like, whatever.
Yeah,
like, if I buy 100 of them, it's not a big deal, right? But, at $8, and then it turns into like $14 or $15 a year. And then you times that by 10, and it's like, it's $150 right there. And like, then you times it by 50, and it's like, whoa! Like now it's a problem.
Those renewals happen. Every time like a renewal comes, I'm like, I got to check this out. Like, a lot of times I don't renew. I'm like, what was I thinking? That was some, harebrained idea I had. I'm like,
like it's better to own it than not own it. So like, I mean, I have a lot of them, and they're all. I've changed a lot of them to set the ask. So when it comes up. Not all of them, but there's quite a few.
Seriously, 5 minutes before we started recording, I did the same thing because I have them all set to manual, and I had an email that came through that said, there's an automatic payment going through. I'm like, which URL?
Yeah, like, do I still need that anymore?
Do I want that now? Do I want to pay for that?
Anyway.
So here's a question then.
Okay.
How long do you keep a defunct domain name, right? Because I changed Mid-Atlantic Podcast Conference to Indie PodCon, Independent Podcast Conference. And how long do I hold on to the MidAtlanticPodcast.com, MidAtlanticPodcastConference.com, and PodcastMidAtlantic.com? Because
I would be holding on to them for quite a while.
I would hold on
because that's not just I'm holding them for fun. That is your IP. That is your. You've still got videos going up in your membership that has got that name. So I would definitely be hanging on to those.
Yeah. And who knows? You might do something with it. As Indie Podcast Conference grows bigger, and it might be like a national conference, then this still gives you a pocket conference that you can do, a more geographically specific conference.
You've got a brand around that. So it's a bit different, I think.
It is a bit different. Well, this was great, guys.
This was great.
I'd love you guys to let us know what you thought of the episode. I would love to know how many domain names you have parked that you are not using, but maybe someday will. Anything. I'd love to know your boundaries. I'd love to know some creative boundaries and how you're using them. It's Joe's episode next week.
It
Yes.
is. Yay, Joe.
Yeah, thank you. I think we'll be, and we're
good
still
one.
experimenting here with the format and how, like, we were just talking prior to getting on the mic here that, like, our goal is 30 minutes, and I put that in air quotes for anyone that's listening to the podcast over at businessgeekspodcast.com. And the question that I kind of brought up was like, do we need to shoehorn so many topics, so many segments and things into a half hour show? I mean, we're at 44 minutes now, but like, and that's okay, right? Because the goal is 30 minutes. But if it goes 40 minutes, if it goes 45 minutes, if it goes an hour, it's fine. But I brought up the idea like maybe we don't need to shoehorn so many things into one episode. We go much deeper into one topic and enable ourselves to like do some research, bring up some videos or bring up some research right in, here on the screen. And so we'd love to hear your feedback on what you think what we're doing wrong or what we're doing right. I'm jealous that Lisa only has 5 domains.
You're not jealous, Joe. You are not jealous.
I am because my bank account is jealous. Okay, my bank account is jealous.
That's a girl who's focused. She's focused and she knows what she wants and she's going for it. 5 domains. That's all she needs.
Yep, I could not agree more. Let's see, Marcia. Was it Marcia? Is that how you said it?
Yeah, Marcia wants us to go deep on online security. What are you talking about? Didn't we just do that? What are we gonna do now?
Well, I mean, I can
go.
I could definitely talk more to that, to online security. So, but
Okay.
I might lose you in the process, but I'll try. I could try. I could in a future episode. Get subscribed so you can follow along here. But yeah, no, I want to know, like, what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? What could we be doing more of? Write us your questions over at questions and comments and theories, and ideas over at questions at businessgeekspodcast.com. If you've enjoyed this episode of the Business Geeks Podcast, please share it with the business geek in your life. And we will see you all next Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time or Tuesday, 7 a.m. Australian Eastern Time, right here at facebook.com/Business Geeks Podcast. Everybody have a great week. I hope you and your families continue to stay safe and warm or cold, depending on cool or warm, depending on what part of the world you're in. Take care, everybody. See you next week.